Crochet was extended by the Boston Red Sox. Best news ever.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby Maljanian, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston and Balling podcast as well. And I am here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox, Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed. And it's free, so you might as well tune in because Locked On is your team every day. While the Boston Red Sox were off from baseball yesterday, some very exciting news came through late Monday night that Garrett Crochet has been extended by the Red Sox as they agreed to a 6-year, $170 million deal. Super exciting. So the deal essentially goes through 2031, but he can opt out after 2030 if he chooses to. Under $30 million a year is solid. First of all, the fact that Garrett Crochet is young. This is something that needed to happen because the Red Sox acquired him so that they could have an ace. They traded for him to have that number one starter at the top of the rotation that they could no doubt say is going to be their go-to guy. And they gave up some pretty big pieces to get him. So I'm going to be touching a lot more on that trade throughout the course of today's show, as well as talking about Kristian Campbell. Is he next? And also a small trade that the Red Sox made last week that I wanted to just go over. But if you think about the construction of the Red Sox right now, it has really truly been a few years since they had that no doubt number one starter in the rotation. For the last few seasons, they were trying to hope that somebody that they had on that pitching staff could become that number one. And Tanner Houck last year was certainly the closest to that because he had a really good first half of the season. And then in the second half of the season, definitely struggled a little bit more. So he kind of fell back a little bit in terms of Cy Young conversation. So he got to the point in the second half of the season where he wasn't really seen as a number one starter, but more like a solid number two. And the Red Sox still needed to fill that hole at the top. Then they went and they traded for Garrett Crochet, gave up solid pieces. I mean, top prospects, Kyle Teal, who's tearing it up in the White Sox organization right now, Braden Montgomery, who was a highly regarded prospect that the Red Sox had drafted, and he's another player that it was hard for the Red Sox to part ways with. But those are the types of players you have to give up in order to get a guy like Garrett Crochet here. And Red Sox fans kept asking when were the Red Sox going to make moves again to make them a serious contender. And this is a move that made them a serious contender was by trading for Garrett Crochet. And now them extending him further solidifies the fact that the Red Sox aren't messing around anymore. This is a big guy move by John Henry, going out and committing to your guy longer term and spending the money that you need to spend in order to get him in a Boston Red Sox uniform for the longer term foreseeable future. Now, it's interesting how quickly these things can happen because Garrett Crochet was saying on record really recently that he didn't want to have contract extension talks soon, and he wanted to kind of focus on the season first and see how things went for him. And that just goes to show how quickly these things can move. They essentially can go from 0 to 100 in a really short time span, because literally it was the last week of spring training when he said he didn't expect anything and that there weren't serious talks moving, and the Red Sox were able to get it done. The contract kicks in 2026. So that's good news for the Red Sox that they have all of this season before it actually kicks in. It's the largest deal ever for a pitcher with 4+ years of service. Just one start into his Red Sox career, they made this deal with him. So essentially with the opt-out after the 2030 season, we don't have to worry about that right now. because now we know for the next 6 years, if you count this year, that he's not going anywhere. And we are going to get this man when he's still very young and still very much in his prime, and maybe even the very beginning of his prime, hopefully. And he still has a lot more left in the tunnel. So he's only 26 right now, barely 26. So the age definitely is impactful here, because they're going to have him locked up for a while now. And if you compare this to the 8-year deal that Max Fried got with the Yankees, being 30 years old at the time when he signed that deal, I mean, the later half of that contract is likely not going to go well, because then he's going to be a lot older, could be more injury prone at that point in his career. And the Yankees are going to be stuck with him at that point, because who would want to trade for a guy who's mid-30s already and that has a lot of money to his name at that point that he is still owed? So I like this Garrett Crochet deal a lot better. It makes so much sense for the Red Sox. And the biggest thing about all of this for me is that Crochet had said he wanted to stay in Boston if the deal was right. So from a morality and mental standpoint, this is going to help Crochet to feel very good. And ironically, he's scheduled to make the start today against the Orioles. So now, if you didn't think he was going to shove before, now I would get really excited about his start, because now he has this huge weight lifted off his shoulders, agreed to this longer term deal with the Boston Red Sox, and now he is ready to go and capitalize on that and show that he deserves to be here. So the breakdown of the contract basically goes like this. So he gets a $4 million signing bonus. In 2026, he'll make $24 million. 2027, he'll make $28 million. 2028, also $28 million. 2029, $28 mil. 2030, $28 mil. And 2031, $30 mil. So for the majority of the contract, he's going to be making $28 mil a year, with the first year being 24 and the last year being 30. That is the summary breakdown of what this deal entails for him. And it's great for the Red Sox, because they showed that they were willing to invest in a starting pitcher longer term that they feel is worth it. And they're not overspending an insane amount of money to get him. But this is big time money. He is getting paid like a true number one starting pitcher would be paid. And that's pretty remarkable when you think about it, because that shows how much the Red Sox value Crochet. They truly see him as a special number one starting pitcher for the long term. And the fact that he got the highest deal ever for a pitcher with 4+ years of service is very telling. The previous high was the 5-year, $137 million contract that Jacob deGrom signed with the Mets in 2018. Before agreeing to the extension, Crochet was set to be a free agent following the 2026 season. So even if the Red Sox hadn't worked out a deal now, they still had a little bit more time, because the end of 2026 was when he was scheduled to hit free agency. So we still would have had another season left with them after this year. But we wouldn't want a Xander Bogaerts type of situation where the Red Sox completely drop the ball and then he ends up elsewhere, which, granted, I still think the Padres overpaid Xander, but the Red Sox could have gotten him for less if they didn't wait around. And with Crochet, I was a little bit surprised that the Red Sox did this now, because I thought that they would want to wait a little bit longer to see how he pitches during this season, because if he was starting to struggle this season, then they might start to question whether he was the guy for the future or not. And from his perspective, I thought he might want to wait, because if he was pitching really well, he might want to go and explore free agency and see what types of other offers he could get. But also from a mental standpoint, it does feel a lot better and a bit of a relief knowing you're locked up somewhere for the longer term, as opposed to thinking about having all this pressure on you because you're hitting free agency and you need to be your absolute best so that you get a contract for the next season. So I think from Garrett Crochet's perspective, it's going to feel like this huge sigh of relief. Okay, I can take a deep breath. I still need to pitch really well, but at least I know the Red Sox want me here, so I'm ready to go out and shove for them. His extension will include up to $2 million per year in escalators between 2027 and 2031, based on his finish in Cy Young voting. The deal does not include a no trade clause, but he will receive a $2 million assignment bonus if he is traded during the course of the contract. So obviously the Red Sox right now would go in having no intention of trading him, but if in the couple years from now he's starting to struggle a little bit and the Red Sox don't feel like they're getting their money's worth anymore, they could look into trading him. And obviously for him it would be beneficial because he would get that $2 million assignment bonus. But let's hope that it doesn't come to that, and let's hope that the Boston Red Sox have him for the next few years and that he's dominant over the next few years. The sides obviously came to an agreement and stayed connected long enough to find common ground, because in spring training, when Crochet was talking about it, it could have been that the Red Sox and Crochet were pretty far apart in terms of where they were at and their desires with this contract, but then they kept talks open, and because of that, they were able to find a deal that worked for both sides. And now he joins an elite group of players, from Pedro Martinez to Curt Schilling to John Lester to Chris Sale. So that's a fair share of true marquee aces that the Red Sox have had in this century. And he has a chance to join a very elite group and be a guy who can stick around with the Red Sox for a while now and hopefully help us to win maybe more than one championship. But you never know. Obviously, got to keep the foot on the gas, always there. And just a reminder about what Craig Breslow said about Garrett Crochet when the Red Sox acquired him back in December. We feel like we got a legitimate number one starter in Garrett, left-handed, ton of swing and miss, massive strikeouts, and feels like the best is still in front of him. So we're excited about what he brings. And obviously we needed to trade really good players in order to be able to do this, but that's the cost right now. And we're very much focused on what we were able to get. So the writing was on the wall there that the Red Sox wanted to keep him in Boston longer term, and that was the plan. And then he even expressed during Fenway Fest that staying in Boston long term was something that had a lot of merit in his mind and something that he thought would be awesome. So both sides are happy here. Could not have asked for a better outcome for the Red Sox. And don't be too alarmed by the opportunity for him to opt out of this, because while I also was a little bit skeptical about that part of it, he'll at that point be 31 years old when he can opt out. And will he still be elite? We hope so. But at that point, he could be a little bit past his prime, to the point where if he opts out, his best days still might be behind him. So I wouldn't be too scared off by that. The biggest thing to remember here is the Red Sox have him locked up during what will likely be the best years of his career. And that is key for a team that wants to go back to its winning ways. And this truly is a statement move that shows the Red Sox are not messing around. So they spent the money, extended Garrett Crochet. And is Kristian Campbell going to be extended next? I'm going to be talking about that. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. Personally, I love the no shells variety. It's the perfect grab and go snack for busy days. Whether I'm snacking at my desk, on a road trip, or just need a quick protein boost, they're always my go-to. And if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are a classic favorite. Get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. Garrett Crochet has finally been extended by the Boston Red Sox, and there were so many talks during the course of the offseason as to why that hadn't happened yet. He made one start for Boston during the regular season, and the Red Sox were like, all right, we're getting this done. And despite the struggle that the Red Sox have had to start the season and being currently 1-4 as we speak, fans can at least be excited about this, and it at least sends a message that the Red Sox are serious about contending. And it really gives you reassurance and a peace of mind that, okay, when the trade deadline comes this year, if the Red Sox are in contention or are at least in wild card conversations, then the Red Sox hopefully won't be half in and half out like they were at the last few trade deadlines, and they'll be more committed to adding players to this team so that they can compete this season. So overall, I really like the contract. I like the breakdown of what he's making every year. Is it a lot of money? Yes, but that's what the best pitchers are worth these days, and he's still making under 30 mil a year until that last year of the contract. So the key to all of this is the Red Sox got a good deal done with Garrett Crochet that is reasonable for both sides and hopefully will help him to elevate his game, because hopefully this will completely help with his confidence so that he's not distracted by trying to work out a deal. So both sides really mutually benefit from this. I like it 100%. Don't be too scared about the opt-out. Like I said, we can approach that when the time comes, but if he stays, awesome. If not, hopefully, we have gotten him in his best years, and that when that time comes and he's 31 years old, if he's starting to lose a little bit of what he has now, hopefully we don't have to worry as much about that, because we can say, okay, if he opts out, it's not the end of the world because we got his best years and his best years are behind him. So now wherever he goes, he won't be as effective. So that's where I'm at with that. Love the extension. And you know what I would love even more? If Kristian Campbell was next, because Kristian Campbell, during a game over the weekend in the opening series against the Rangers, hit his first major league home run and also recorded a double in that same game. And he has been on fire to start the season, ranked the number 3 prospect in baseball by CBS Sports heading into the season, and is certainly off to a really strong start in his debut with the team, batting .375 with a .500 on base percentage and .688 slugging through his first 5 games, while also playing a steady second base. His emergence is truly an encouraging development for the Red Sox, who have struggled to find an everyday second baseman since Dustin Pedroia last played regularly in 2017. They hope to fill that role by acquiring Vaughn Grissom before the 2024 season, but he struggled to produce and also had some injuries thrown in, so he hasn't really been able to play consistently. At the same time, while this was all going on, Campbell was impressing in the minors, so the Red Sox were keeping an eye on him, but little did they know he would have this meteoric rise through the ranks of the system and just move super quickly at every level and seamlessly make the transition from place to place, moving up and handling the pressure with ease at each level. So now the Red Sox are sitting here looking at a guy who could 100% be their second baseman for the long term. And as soon as that game ended where he hit his first major league home run, news had already come out that the Red Sox and Kristian Campbell were in deep talks on a contract extension. So I would not be surprised if news comes out in the near future that he is also getting extended by the team. Why would the Red Sox be so willing to commit to him long term? Well, it's a combination of both his talent and the financial flexibility that it provides the team. So what I mean by financial flexibility, basically over the last half decade, teams have increasingly prioritized locking up young talent, which was a trend really popularized by the Braves, who are known for building from within. They signed Ronald Acuna Jr. to an 8-year, $100 million deal in 2019 when he was 21. That same year, the team secured Ozzie Albies to a team-friendly 7-year, $35 million contract. Albies was 22 at the time, which is the same age that Kristian Campbell is now. Campbell will definitely command more money than Albies, but both contracts overall have worked out in the Braves' favor with Acuna and Albies, because Acuna went on to become a 4-time All-Star and also won NL MVP in 2023. And Albies, a 3-time All-Star, has won a Silver Slugger Award at second base and received MVP consideration in 2 separate seasons. Those ended up being great bets for the Braves, and the Red Sox have that same level of assurance in Campbell. So for them, if they lock him in now when he's younger, essentially it won't require as much as it would if they waited a while and then he was still producing and he started to ask for more money, because if you produce more, naturally you're going to want more money. So if the Red Sox wait longer, it could end up hurting them because they would have to likely pay him more money. Whereas if they kind of jump to the extension now, and they are working something out currently present in this moment. Because he's still so fresh to the majors, he's not going to demand as much money as he would down the road if he continued to compete at this high of a level. So I think the Red Sox are absolutely, in that regard, making the right decision when it comes to being in these talks with him now. And then when you go to his hitting ability, I mean, despite his lackluster stats in spring training and really struggling at the plate, second base was Campbell's job to lose by opening day, because it became more and more clear over the course of the offseason that the Red Sox saw that as his position to start the season for the Red Sox. The Red Sox had seen enough of him during his minor league career that they were convinced he was ready for the big league. So despite not having a good spring, I don't think the Red Sox really weighed that in that much, because they just felt confident enough for him to make the opening day roster. Alex Cora also hinted that while Campbell's numbers didn't stand out, his overall at-bats and the team's internal analytical data suggested that the young infielder was in a good place after spring training, so they weren't really worried about him. And sure enough, they were right, because he has raked so far for this Boston Red Sox team. And because a lot of the lineup has been struggling, he has been a key piece of the lineup. Basically, just he and Wilyer Abreu have been producing consistently offensively. So it really is making him look like one of the best hitters on the team, because he's one of two people that's producing consistently right now, over 16 at-bats, where he's recorded 6 hits, one of those being a home run, a 375 average, 4 runs scored, and 2 RBIs. And he also has an OPS of 1.188. So he is definitely well on his way to be a really special hitter for this Red Sox team. And he was able to adjust his mechanics throughout the course of his time in the minors. He hit just 4 home runs in his lone 2023 season at Georgia Tech, but the Red Sox, at the time led by Chaim Bloom, believed that his power would increase alongside his elite bat-to-ball skills once he entered their system. One key adjustment throughout this process involved his swing path. The Red Sox took Campbell in the 4th round as a compensation pick for Xander Bogaerts signing with the Padres in December 2022. They saw that his swing was steep. Despite hitting the ball on the ground, he was making hard contact. So if they could get him to focus on swinging with a more upward plane, they believed he could find a middle ground, staying level throughout the zone. And it certainly worked for him, because he hit 20 home runs in the minors in 2024, slashing a 330 batting average, 439 on base percentage, and 558 slugging. So all it took was for him to make small adjustments, and now he is absolutely shining offensively. At the big league level, his plate discipline has stood out alongside his bat speed and his contact ability. He has drawn 4 walks, including 2 in Monday's loss. Young players who can control the strike zone often experience a smoother transition than those who don't, and he 100% fits that bill. We've seen the opposite with Cedar Rafaela, who doesn't really have the plate discipline, and he struggles a lot, and he strikes out a lot because of it, whereas Campbell shows that he can maintain that poise at the plate, which is a recipe for success at this level. And defensively, the Red Sox led the majors in unearned runs allowed last year, in part due to the absence of Trevor Story, who missed most of the season with a shoulder fracture. So then they were relying on guys like David Hamilton, Romy Gonzalez, Pablo Reyes, and Enmanuel Valdez to shore up the defense. But all of those guys that I just named were below average defenders. With Story back, the Red Sox wanted to pair him with a sure-handed second baseman who could specifically turn the double play. And although Campbell didn't log many innings at second base in the minors, because he also spent time at shortstop, third base, and left field, the Red Sox liked his athleticism and believed he could handle the role. And so far, that decision has worked in the Red Sox favor, because he's helped turn some really nice double plays so far in his time with the Red Sox, even though it's only been a few games. But I like what I've seen from him defensively. Also, his athleticism gives him a leg up when it comes to contract talks for him, because the Red Sox have made it their mission to become more athletic, shifting from being slow on the bases to featuring speedsters like Jarren Duran, David Hamilton, and Cedar Rafaela. Campbell also fits that mold as well, ranking in the 89th percentile in sprint speed among all major leaguers. So he also fits the mold of somebody the Red Sox 100% should extend, because he has a lot of different assets of his game that he brings to the table. He's versatile, just like Jarren Duran. So I think the fact that he has a good bat, plays a really solid defense to help the Red Sox with turning nice double plays from second base, and that he has the speed on the base paths. All of those things are going to help him to succeed. So the Red Sox 100% should extend him. I think we'll see that announcement soon, as they are deep in talks, and it's very exciting. So as the Red Sox look to navigate what will hopefully be a season where they make the playoffs, they did make a small minor trade last week, so I'm just going to be going over that next. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery. Now I budget smarter and save more. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. Monarch Money will make things a lot less scary when it comes to managing money, so make sure that you take advantage of it today. We are here, and the Boston Red Sox are currently 1-4. Hopefully they bounce back. Garrett Crochet, who was recently extended, is on the mound for the team. So hopefully they can get a nice bounce back win against the Orioles and get themselves on track. Hopefully some of their guys start hitting well, and they can start to win games and show people that they belong. So while the Red Sox focus on the major league team and how they can get better and start winning more games, they did make a minor trade last week, dealing pitcher Noah Davis to the Dodgers for cash considerations. So definitely a very minor move. This was in the midst of them making a slew of roster moves before their opening day game, because it was actually on opening day and there were transactions being made that were all over the map. So Noah Davis going to the Dodgers for cash consideration. I actually was at Woo Sox Media Day when he got traded, and I actually spoke with Noah Davis seconds after he found out that he had been traded, and it was still processing for him. And he had been talking about how he had just gotten used to coming to Worcester and settling in there, because he did end up signing with the Red Sox back in December. So he was pretty brand new to the club, minor league deal with the team that was signed in late December. So now he'll join the reigning World Series champions 40-man roster. So take a listen to the clip in which he told me how he felt about the trade.
Some big news for you.
Yeah.
How are you feeling right now?
I don't really know, to be honest. You know?
Yeah.
I knew something was going to happen today, but
Yeah.
It's
How does that usually, because I know with players, they know this is part of the business that sometimes guys move around. So how do you guys kind of mentally handle that?
just as best you can, just got settled here in Worcester a couple days ago, so but we knew something was happening, so it didn't fully settle in mentally. But yeah, just do the best you can and pack your stuff up and head to the next town, I guess.
Gotta do what you gotta do, right?
Yeah.
So, obviously moving is a factor, so you're going to have a pretty busy, next few days or something. But what would you say are your goals for this season? What do you want to get out of this season?
My goal, same as every year, is to contribute to a team in the major leagues. I think I've come a long way in a short amount of time here with the Red Sox since reporting to camp in February. And, I think the core principles of the pitching development here are something that I'll hold on to for the rest of my career. And I imagine that the philosophy over in LA is probably somewhat similar with the reputation that they have attacking hitters with their best stuff, and just kind of the newer age philosophy of pitching development, I think, is something that aligns pretty strongly with myself. I'm just looking forward to getting going and see what it's like over there.
Yeah, 100%. Are there certain aspects of your game that you are looking to improve?
Yeah, just like everybody else, trying to throw harder, raise the average velocity of my fastball. And there are some, just trying to figure out what the ideal usages are for each of my pitches and what type of situations I want to use them in is something that I feel like I made some progress with here in spring training with Boston. So just looking to build on that and kind of see where that takes me over the course of a full season.
So as you can see, Davis was definitely still processing the trade at the time because it can be really hard for a player emotionally. Obviously, the logistical aspect of it is tough because they move to a place and then they have to move to another one as the season is starting. So that alone is a challenge, but also with the fact that he had only been in the vicinity for a few months because he came to the Red Sox in late December, but he does know that's the order of the business and it's just how things go. He was drafted by the Cincinnati Reds in the 11th round of the 2018 MLB draft. And now he's going to make a return to the NL West because he was in the Rockies organization from late July 2021 through early November of last year. So definitely tough for him to process, but hopefully he excels there. Seems like a great guy who really works hard. And it was definitely tough being there to witness him just finding out that he had been traded. But he has a 7.71 ERA and 51 1/3 MLB innings. In the AAA Pacific Coast League, he boasts a 5.06 ERA over 133 1/3 innings, ranking 19th among pitchers with 130 plus innings over the last 3 seasons. Despite his poor track record in Major League Baseball, he has performed relatively better in the AAA environment. So obviously there are concerns surrounding his ability to perform at the Major League level. So the Red Sox must have thought that he wasn't going to be a piece of the puzzle down the road. They probably were hesitant about the idea of calling him up at any point just because he has struggled in the majors in the opportunities that he has gotten. So they said, okay, we can move him. We don't feel like we see him as a piece of the puzzle long term. So I wish him the absolute best there. And I wish the Red Sox the absolute best because they need to start winning some games. So hopefully you're with me and you're riding with me through this season. Only a few games in, so do not forget that. Like I always say, keep the faith, go Red Sox, and I'll catch you on the flip side.